So we're at Mike's now, down in his man cave, and we got here the first night. After he picked us up, great man. We talked and talked. I was exhausted, and finally, I was like, "We got to go to bed." So we go to bed. Uh, Yesterday, uh, we got up because we were going to take uh, a full day yesterday off. So uh, we had already, when Mike picked us up, we did our grocery shopping, got resupplied, got all that stuff done, so we could just spend some time with him and Cassie, and then yesterday have all day to do what we wanted. Uh, John had got a text on his phone from his provider. Said something. You know how you get stuff and you say, "Oh, this is spam," but he decided to. He looked at it and was like, "I don't know." So he called the service provider, and they said, "No, no, that text is legit," and they wanted him to do some sort of upgrade or something.
No, they had to update.
Oh, an update on his service, and so he's on the phone. Me and Mike Cassie upstairs were talking, and I was like, John's like, "I got to go downstairs," and he started doing that. And like 2 hours went by, and I'm like, "Oh, John had to fall asleep because, you know, he's probably talking to Jessica, and he fell asleep." Come down, or Mike had come down, and he says, "Hey," or had seen what was going on. He came upstairs. "Hey, you might want to go talk to him." Well, during the process of doing the update, they trashed his phone. So we're like, "Oh crap," because my phone doesn't work very well, and we really depend on John's phone a lot. He'll have 3 bars of service, and I'll be in SOS. It's just my phone's old, and so it was like, okay, we start, you know, take a big deep breath, and we find the service provider had a store here in Great Falls, so we went and talked to them, and the kid had the answer that was working there. Brendan, I think was his name.
Yeah.
Uh, had the answer and had it fixed immediately. So what was funny is after John's phone got back up and running, what it wanted was a text verification, but they knocked his phone offline, so there was no way to get the text to verify to finish the update, and we were able to do that at the store. But they sent him a text message after his phone got disconnected to say you need to do this, but how are you supposed to get the text if if your phone isn't connected to a network? So you could see that problem. So we got that done. We're just all happy. And oh, yesterday we route planned uh, the remainder of our trip.
2 hours.
Yeah, make sure there's no issues. And it's like, okay, everything looks good. There was one issue in North Dakota that was sketchy. Uh, we got to an area that was about 140 miles, and we had to have the only place to stay was a warm showers place. If you didn't get the warm showers place, uh, yeah, you have no place to stay for a 140-mile stretch. So, um, that was an issue, but the people were really good about responding and taking people. So we just kind of hoped that would work out, which honestly, you know, I'll come back to it. It's not a good idea, but we'll come back to it. So I called Jackie and was talking to her, and she says you got to call next, make sure you got everything's, call the hotels and make sure that everything's good. So we're like, okay, yeah, well, that's probably a pretty good idea. First place we got to go, which was 70 mile. No, I'm sorry. I think it was like 67 miles away. Let me look here.
First,
No, it was 75 miles. So the the town all our rides were like 75, 77, 67, 81 miles apart. Okay, to to get to places, and uh, talking with my, then you get looking at the maps in these towns. I think the first one might have been a town of like 800 people, but after that it's like 103. You know, just a place to put a post office so people could go to collect their mail. But with the vastness of Montana, it's just how it is out here. So they have what looks like a town on the map, but when you look at the populations, you realize it's just a small gathering place to for the most part, for in a lot of situations, uh, uh, a convenience store, maybe a grocery store, and what else was there? They would have on there. Some of the towns would have a little bit of everything, uh, but that they're really really spread out. So the first place we called, we could stay, and then there was a stretch of almost uh, 200 miles, and in there was, wait a minute, hold on, let me see here. Well, yeah, about 200 miles, and we called the hotel, and the hotel was closed down, and so we get on Google Maps, Google Earth, and we're looking, and there's nothing there. And then we got looking at the campsites that we decided that we would try to stay at, and if you remember in the video from day 16, uh, I think that particular campground had a pavilion to get under, but the two campgrounds that we looked at were, it was just a spot of land, a place to hook up power and water and for like an RV, but there were no trees, so uh, we were completely exposed. Now you say, okay, no big deal. The other day, yes, I guess it was the day that Mike picked us up. He was cooking outside, so I was going to go out and talk to him. When I stepped out of his garage to go around to the back, it was like sucking on a hair dryer. Okay, so the air that you were breathing in was that hot, and it's drying you out instantly. And I'd said something to John about that. I was like, man, it's hot outside. It feels like sucking on a hair dryer, because like 80 degrees outside, you know, feels fine. The air you're breathing in, it's breathable, but that was 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Now, if you remember, there were no trees, and the heat's been in the mid 90s, and at 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, the air gets so hot it's like sucking on a hair dryer. If you have no way to get out of that, and you have limited resources, you know, we're going to drink way more water that we got, and then when you got the distance between the towns, we start thinking, okay, we first of all, we can't make this, so we have to do something. And so now we go to, all right, the biking's not working out the way we want, and and both of us are, at our age, it's not our health thing, but about making the right decision, and we're like, we have to find an alternate plan. This is not going to work. This the ride is fun, it's enjoyable, but it's not worth our health and safety. So we start looking for options. The first option was a rental car. So now remember, the towns are 100 plus people. They don't have rental cars, and so there are bigger towns. We find that Great Falls is huge, so it's got like 4 or 5 different rental agencies, and then the town where we would drop the car off has one or two, and you try to match it up so you can. Well, in that process of dealing with the rental cars, it was like we want to drop off at a different location, and that option's not was not available to us. And we're doing it all online on Mike's computer, And so we go to the next town. We go to the next town. Go to the next town, and before long, we're all the way over towards, North Dakota. And camera messed up. Didn't like how long I was filming. But we get to the east side of North Dakota, and then start to realize, okay, this option isn't working. So then we look at renting like a U-Haul, because U-Hauls are typically one way. And if you get a van, like a regular passenger van, but as a cargo van, it's again returned to the place that you rented it. The big box trucks were ridiculously expensive, and we just need to move our bicycles. So then we look at Amtrak. And with Amtrak, what you have to figure out is, can I get my bicycle on and get my bicycle off where I want to go? So I get on there, and there's 2 Amtrak stations. I hate to say it's not near, because nothing's near in Montana, because Montana's so big. But we had 2 options for Amtrak. So what I did is I hit Chicago to the first one, and I could get a bicycle on. Chicago to the second one, and get a bicycle on. Okay, all right. So, and the reason I know Chicago, because I know you can get a bicycle on Chicago. So you got to on both ends. So then we started working back to train stations that are on, or towns that are on route that have Amtrak stations at, and we'll just get to the Amtrak station, get back on our route, and continue our ride. So we do that, and it puts us in Fargo, North Dakota. So we look at, and what happened was, we were going to leave today, and we got lucky that we could get the bikes on tomorrow. So we're spending an extra day at Mike's because of getting the bikes on the train to get to the next location. So, a lot of people might say, wow, that kind of stinks. Why don't you just come all the way home? Bicycle touring, and John and I talk about this all the time, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. And bicycle touring is about solving the problems that you come up with every day. The problems are, eat, sleep, and then and what the weather might be doing. And our answer for hot is to leave early in the morning and quit early, but at the same time with the heat, you have to, the exposure, you have to recover, or what happens when you get dehydrated and dehydrated and dehydrated. If you remember back before Darren picked us up in Kettle Falls, I don't remember what state it was, we responded to a heat exhaustion emergency. It was the 3rd time we did that, okay? I still think it's funny. John says, it was the first time he was ever on the other end of a 911 call, being a firefighter. He's responding to the emergencies and not initiating it, but we were there to help someone else. And just all that's in our minds, and with the heat, we're like, we're not taking a risk. Riding these distances, there's risks involved. Yeah, you got to deal with cars and stuff like that, but we were just not willing to sacrifice. So that's what we did yesterday, and because of the access to the train, it gives us another day with Mike. And so I guess the next video will probably see us getting on the train. So it all works out. It all works out. We're still happy with what's going on, and having a good time. But I just wanted to explain, because it's a complicated problem, and with all the solutions, you had to work through each one to find one that worked for you. So that's what we did on our rest days. More importantly, though, we had a great time chit-chatting with Mike and Cassie. Last night, John went to bed on us. That tells you how late we stayed up. So, but yeah, so yeah, that's our rest days. Definitely different than anything we've done in the past.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Sure.